the frequency to get yourself out of shame and guilt and all of these lower frequencies, that middle line is courage.
Yes.
And courage is what takes you into a higher vibrational frequency. Everything that you've gone through and are going through and the spiritual gifts that you have are all for the betterment of your expansion.
Welcome to the High Vibe Life podcast, where we are obsessed with all things manifestation, neuroscience, personal growth, and quite simply, living a life beyond our wildest dreams. I'm Moira Kucaba, author, speaker, podcaster, manifestation, and mindset master. Since getting sober 25 years ago, I've helped tens of thousands of women break through and achieve massive levels of wealth, joy, and freedom. Now it's your turn. Let's dig in. Welcome back to the High Vibe Life podcast with me, your host, Moira Kucaba. I've got a big treat for you guys today. My friend, Dee Taggart, is in the studio. I wish you were in the studio. Unfortunately, you're zooming in from Utah, one of my favorite places on earth. But welcome to the show, Dee.
Thank you so much for having me. It's just an honor. You have been such a cherished connection of mine. And I love this high vibe because that's literally how I see you. Just a high vibe, high caliber individual who I enjoy being around just because you're a bright light. You're just so vibrant and fun. And I'm so grateful that we get to chat. I feel like I said this earlier, but I do feel like it's a mirror reflection. When I see you, I see me. And I love that. It's just so fun when you meet people who are on that same level of caliber and excitement. So thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I feel the same. It's energy, right? Like I talk a lot about energy, hence, hello, the High Vibe Life podcast. But we met, I guess it was probably a year ago. And it's really kind of funny because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we were both at a dinner with Dean Graziosi and some other, big players. And we were at this restaurant and there were two tables, right? So you're kind of like scoping out like who's who. I want to meet everybody because it was just such an incredible room of people, like just
so good.
The most. And it's not about being impressed by celebrity or status. I'm talking like just amazing humans that like were so so life-giving. And I kept looking over at you guys and I was like, who are those people? Like I just felt the energy. I was like, I feel like I want to talk to those to you and Sam, your husband. And then lo and behold, the night like came to an end and we never got a chance to connect. Well, what was it? Like a day or two later, we are both in Arizona at mastermind.com and like I look across the table and there you are.
So fun. And then again, running into you at the most recent event, James Lawrence event as well.
Yes.
Like, this is so crazy.
Yeah.
And so fun to keep connecting. Obviously, when you run into people multiple times like that, there's definitely not a coincidence that you're supposed to have a relationship. And I see that in life experiences. Like if you're out there listening and you're like, why do I keep running into this person? It's something you have to learn, to gain, to have a relationship with is definitely supported in that individual. And you are that for me. So it's just a cool, full circle, cool way of meeting. So fun.
Absolutely. I feel the same way. Like just the energy, the connection. We both got to we shared the stage. We both keynoted at the last event that we were at, which was, you were amazing. You were so incredible on stage. I loved every second of it. And I loved just being there to like cheer you on. So can you answer this question for me? It's often how I start out my podcast, but who would you say, ready, drum roll question, who would you say Dee Taggart is? How would you describe kind of yourself, your journey, and what you're doing in the world today?
Yeah, so I like to say I'm just a soulful being. I think we all are. I don't love putting titles on myself just because I believe that we are all innately gifted and we're all these high spiritual beings that have that within inside of us. It lives within inside of us. And then obviously your life experiences, the things you learn, you go through, they continue to shape you and you start to have these different identities that you can kind of take on at certain times in life. But I like to call myself an expansion activator.
Ooh.
And an expansion with an X, because I took off the E, because there really is no end to expanding your life and continuing the soul's progression and journey. And so I just say I'm a soulful being, but I have a wide range of life experiences that have kind of attached to me in different ways, such as motherhood, such as entrepreneurship, such as job titles and roles that I've been in. But at the end of the day, we are who we are. And
Yeah.
I like to say that. I am who I am. I'm Dee Taggart, and I'm a soulful being.
Oh,
And of course, there's a million other things to that I could touch base on. But that's what I am, and that's who I see myself as continuing to expand myself and continuing to progress on life's journey.
I love that so much. It's so beautiful. So I know there's been a lot of past experiences, right, that we can kind of go down. And I really do want to hear that kind of origin story. But what is the work that you're doing now in the world? What are you doing with people? How are you you're in the coaching bubble. You're in that, I've seen you run masterminds and weekend retreats. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so I do kind of a wide variety of things. We have a mastermind, my husband and I, that I run the women's side of it. And it's women supporting entrepreneurs and men in business roles and really embracing that divine gift of being a woman and what God's design for women is. And so I aid and help in that, and that's called the Circle Plus. And then I do breath work, and I facilitate breath work experiences, meditations. I also do intuitive cranial sacral therapy,
Ooh.
which is a unique modality where it encompasses energy work, it encompasses talk therapy, it encompasses healing and massage. So it's kind of a combination of those. It's a spiritual practice. It's super fun. And then I also have a women's group called Her Expansion. And it's just about the ways women are expanding their lives. They're expanding their capabilities, their confidence, their communities, their connections, and their consciousness, and just finding ways to help grow and aid them in that journey and build a community, a collective community where we can support each other and continue to expand our life and the lives we lead on this soul's journey.
Oh, so good. So good. I love that. Okay, so I got to ask you a question. How old are you?
My birthday's next week,
Oh,
and
happy
I
early
am
birthday.
turning 30.
30. Okay, I figured. I was like, you've got to be like late 20s. I was thinking maybe if I had to take a wild guess, 28. So you don't get on this like soul expansion journey at, I believe, a young age without a journey that has come before this, right? So can we go all the way back and like, where did this journey begin of really exploration and kind of doing the inside work? Because gosh knows, there's a lot of 30-year-olds out there that haven't even scratched the surface of knowing that there's an inside journey. So how did you end up here?
Yeah, I think what's unique is I'm actually hard of hearing. So I was born with central hearing loss in both ears. So I wear hearing aids. And without these, my world is so quiet from the external.
Wow.
But internally, I'm still picking up and hearing so many things. So
Oh
it's
my
kind of
gosh.
wild to look back at my journey when I was a young kid. I felt so different from everybody else. I felt like I could hear people, but I also couldn't. I felt like I was in the world, but also not in the world. And
Wow.
so I didn't realize it when I was super young, but as I've grown older, and I originally thought that it was a curse because I
Of course.
complained that everyone made fun of me. They called me grandma ears. I had all kinds of, in my childhood, not being
Yeah.
accepted, not being understood, not being able to be heard and hear. And so it was really hard for me. But then when I was about 17, I got these hearing aids, and
So
I
you didn't
really
get hearing aids until you were 17.
I had I had hearing aids, but they were like the molded ones that kind of plugged up your ear more than they helped. And technology
Yes.
has advanced so much since then. And so these were the first hearing aids with like the updated technology advancement, and it blew me away at how much I could hear and couldn't hear. But I was
Wow.
picking up on so many different things. Like I had gained other coping mechanisms, which
Mm-hmm.
was reading into energy, which was reading into people's body language and their expressions. And I found other ways to learn, to grow, and to cope because of this hearing impairment. And so I didn't realize it then, but this has been a huge part of my expansion journey, is just being hard of hearing, is just having that 40% less than everybody else has. And I went to intensive speech classes, intensive speech therapy to try to help me just to be able to speak like the
Mm-hmm.
rest of us. I was missing certain letters and words, and it took me a long time to be just to feel like I was normal in the world. But what I realized is I actually am more than normal in the world. I just have a different way of looking at life. And what a gift it has been to be able to discover that and to have that as part of my journey and part of what I do and practice today.
That is amazing. Like, Dee, I had no idea. I've never heard this. I did not know this. This is amazing and makes so much sense, right? It's like, I mean, we can all agree that even just kind of with normal senses, it's like, oh, if one is dulled, we've all heard, if one is dulled a little bit, another one kind of comes out a little bit more. I'm colorblind, and so I have like a really keen sense of hearing, but also I can look back and I mean, people might think I'm crazy and I've lost my mind, but when I was like in nursery school, like 4 years old, and I couldn't see colors, I could see energy. Like I remember getting in the car and I was like, Mom, what's that circle around Miss so and so? I don't even remember the teacher's name. But I like saw the bend of light, like her aura, the energy, and my mom was so amazing because she like didn't dismiss it, right? She like actually had a conversation with me about it because she understood what I was seeing. And I think that's because I couldn't see the colors, and this makes so much
pick up on something else.
Yeah. I mean, this makes so much sense of why you are this incredible spiritual being and this magnetic personality, and you have this sense that other people don't have, and to be able to so quickly get to that point in your life where you can see what a gift that so-called not gift is, is huge. It's huge.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And I think too, it's just realizing that that even though you see the world a different way, we all have spiritual gifts. You have a spirit inside, you have a soul inside. And when you can start to encompass that, you really are able to encompass who you are. And it builds you in a lot of different ways, along with life experiences. But when you can really get to the core root of who you are and why you are the way you are, you start to love yourself so much more. And that has been the ultimate journey for me. I think for most women, we all struggle with just loving ourselves and just humankind in general. There's just this piece of us that feels unlovable in the world. But then when you discover who you are, you really start to embrace that. And I can love me. I can love exactly the gifts and the spirit that came here with and for the reason I came here. So I've loved it. It's been a journey, but that has been one of the main parts of my journey. Obviously, life experiences shape you too, but understanding your soulful being, I think, is the most important thing that you can get to. And knowing where you come from, knowing that you're here with reason and purpose, and everything that you've gone through and are going through, and the spiritual gifts that you have are all for the betterment of your expansion.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, so beautiful. And so if we go back to 17 and now you're 30, right? That's 13 years ago that you kind of had that major shift in your life. What were some of the other major shifts along these last 13 years that have continued to kind of allowed you to go to the next level and to expand bigger?
Yeah, for sure. So I grew up in Utah, so I did the typical Utah thing. I got married super young. I fell in love at 17 and got married super young.
Yeah.
I was in college, going to college, trying to get a degree in science. In biochem I started in, but ended up in exercise science. And I then got pregnant right after I got married. So I did that, get married real quick, get pregnant right away. And I ended up having this baby. And then 3 months later, my family had some circumstances that I had to take on my brother and his girlfriend's kids at the time. And they had just had a set of twins that were 5 days different than my little guy and a 2-year-old. So I had at 20, 4 kids under the age of 2 and 3 babies. And most 20-year-olds at my age.
Wait, and this was alone, without your brother's help, parents' help?
Yeah, my parents lived close, so they lived like 9 houses, but they both worked full-time jobs. So, and I did work a job too as well. My husband and I were newly married, and we had just had a baby as well. So we were trying to figure it out. And I worked at Costco in the warehouse in the evenings from 5 to 9. It was a perfect shift. I could work part-time. And so my parents would take them in the evenings, but I had these little babies, and it was supposed to just be a 6-month agreement, and it ended up being 3 years.
Oh my
So
gosh.
since they were babies until they were 3, I was mom, and
Wow.
mom to multiple kids, and so it just, and I was young and I had to grow up really fast. I mean,
Yeah.
here I am managing a 5-bedroom home, a job, schooling, and 4 kids under the age of 2. What most people don't do even until their 30s, I was
Yeah.
doing right after being married, like within a
Wow.
couple of years. So it was not what I expected for life. I, in fact, didn't even want to get married till I was 27. I was like,
Yeah.
gonna get married. I'm just gonna live it up. I want to learn. I want to be an adult. I want to do all the things. Obviously, graduate from college, do all the things I thought that were the ideal for my life. And I realize, and most people do, is that life kind of takes you. You can't plan for the way things are going to show up in your life to teach you, to help you grow, to help you learn. You can plan and design your life, but there will always be lessons and teachers that show up
Yeah.
for you. And that showed up for me at a very young age. But again, it's been an absolute gift to be able to go through that and relate to so many people and help so many people now who are also going through a similar thing.
That's crazy. I mean, 4 children. That's at the age of 20. Like I always think whenever I'm in Utah, I'm like, man, they get married and have kids young out here. Like it blows my mind looking around at all the families, which I love, but it's just a big cultural difference. That's
Yeah.
even more extreme, right? To be able to
Yeah.
have to take that on. So what happened there? Did you end up finishing like are you still raising those kids? What does that look like?
Yeah, so I ended up finishing. I got a degree in science, and
Wow.
then I just kept working, and I started my own floral business at the time because
Mm.
weddings were really big here, and it was something I could do at home in the house, and so
Yeah.
I started floral business and did that for a little while. Well, my previous husband was doing a landscaping business, so I was kind of helping him with the bookends of that,
Mhm.
and it was awesome. Except for I started. Not taking care of myself as much,
Mm.
trying to just take care of everybody else.
Sure.
And so I ended up gaining a lot of weight, and I kind of downward spiraled in my thoughts and my feelings, everything. And I ended up like in a state of depression and so far off the course from where I wanted to be and just unrecognizable. Like my spirit could not recognize myself. And
Yeah.
I remember just like looking at myself in the mirror and being like, I am not okay.
Yeah.
This is not okay. I don't feel like I'm enough. I've had enough. Like I can't keep going like this. And it felt like that inner voice speaking to me. And I knew that not just for me, but for these little kids, because I didn't know how long I was going to have them.
Right.
I knew that I needed to better myself and better my life. And I had kind of a transformative moment. And I can remember it distinctively to this
Mm.
day. I just was on overdrive. You're not aware that you're aware until you're aware.
Right. And you're juggling so much. I mean, you're so in it with all of that responsibility. You
Yes.
can't see it from the outside looking in. But I love a transformative moment. So can we go deep on this? I want to hear all about it.
Yes, let's dive in. So it really hit, that awareness hit when that inner voice is starting to speak to you, and
Mhm.
you just know you've had enough. You're like falling to your knees. You're just like, I can't keep living like this. I don't know who I am. I'm not happy. I'm struggling, right?
Yeah.
And it's that raw, vulnerable truth that you have with yourself. And sometimes another person has it with you, but
Mhm.
most of the times it has to happen within. You have to be willing to see that and to make that change. And so I was driving down the back road, and this road had like potholes and like bumps on the side. And I can remember I'm in this white Dodge Durango, and it's kind of scrappy, and I'm hitting every bump. And on every bump, I just feel the weight, not just physically, but I start to feel the weight of myself spiritually, emotionally, mentally, all these things I've been saying to myself, all this, you've been giving your time and energy to everyone else, and you haven't made time for yourself.
Mm.
And it hit. Like I felt my spirit from inside scream at me. Like it's
Wow.
usually it's still a small voice inside, kind of telling you, guiding you.
Yeah.
It's subtle, right? And at this moment, it was like, I have had enough. You cannot keep going like this.
Wow.
You've got to make a change. And it was so loud. I just remember pulling over and just breaking down from that
Yeah.
weight, just sobbing. Like, where do I go? What do I
Yeah.
do? How can I do it? I have 4 kids. And all of those thoughts started flooding my mind and heart again. And and then it took just one redirect, just one
Mm.
thought, one neural pathway to redirect that said, what if you just start?
Yeah.
Let's just get you to a gym. And I'm not a huge advocate for gym. I think gym is great. I think strengthening yourself is great. But that was what I needed at that time.
Yeah.
So I drove to the gym and I sat in the parking lot and I broke down
Right
again.
then. So right then in that
Right?
moment you drove straight to the
Yes.
gym.
It was like, you need to go, because I was fighting all these thoughts of like, well, who's going to take the kids? How do you
Right.
can't take
All the
4 kids to the
excuses.
gym.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the excuses. And if I could just take one step, one small action and just
Mm.
get there, I knew that I would make a change. I just
Mm.
had to get there. And so once I got there, then I sat in the car for a long time. I don't know about you, but there's been many times I've sat in the car at the gym just like dreading going in, or sat somewhere and just been not willing to go in. And I finally was, well, I got to just see. They have a daycare. Let's just see how much it is. Oh, it's going to cost too much. Oh, I can't leave the kids. Oh, this. Just go in there and find out how much the daycare is. That's all you have to do today. That's what I told myself. That's all you have to do. You just have to get in there and find out how much it is. So I walk in and I get to the front desk lady and I'm saying, hey, you guys, how many kids? What's the max amount of kids you can have at daycare? How long is it? And I felt so out of place. I'd never really been a huge fitness person, so to speak,
Yeah.
or athletic. I didn't do a lot of athletic things. And so,
Which is hilarious because you're like the most active, like Utah fitness Barbie that I know.
oh, I love it. And that's like transformative. That's
Yeah.
something I now, and this is where the power of what you identify with is huge. I identify as fit and healthy and well for the rest of my life. Like, that's what I tell myself. I don't give myself any room to say anything else to myself. That is what I will be. I am a fit and healthy individual. I am is a powerful statement. And I
Yes.
put that with anything I want to be a part of me.
Yes.
And anything I don't want to be a part of me, I'm very cautious on how I
Yeah.
approach that. But yeah, anyways, it was hard. So I got in there and they're like, it's an extra $10 or whatever a month and $3 each time or whatever. And I ended up thinking about it. I could make that happen. I could do that. Okay,
Yeah.
sign me up. So I signed up, but I didn't go that day. I drove home, went back, took the kids out, got all the kids out. Mind you, it's like 3 baby car seats and a 2-year-old. And drug them all inside and Jen just had a downer day the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Like, that was like the biggest, hardest thing I did that day. But I was so happy that I was able to just do something, but it was so heavily emotional for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just a lot. Have you ever had a day where you just deal with a lot of emotions and then you just need to go home and just sit and reset? That was that.
Those moments, those days where like every once in a while you're shocked at like, you're like, I haven't done much, but emotionally, like complete and utter exhaustion. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, so that was that moment. And then I just the next day woke up and I made the money, I made the payment. I need to make worth of this.
Right.
So I've got to do something. Let's just go give it a shot. And I took them in and I got them all in there. And obviously all the things came to my mind. They're going to get sick. Are they going to get cared for the right way? All these things. And I just said, one, retransfer of the thought process of, no, we're just going to go for 30 minutes. We're just going to do it. And walked in there and I felt so out of place. Like, I felt so humiliated. And I wish I could just go back to this girl. And if I see that girl in the gym, I am giving her a hug. I am encouraging her. I am loving her, because it is so hard to be in that mental state when you're your own worst enemy and nobody else sees you that way. And so I wish I could go back and just give her a hug, but I stepped in there and I was humiliated. I was embarrassed. I felt uncomfortable. I felt out of place. I felt like I had taken myself to a place I didn't want to be. And they had this cardio cinema. So they have all these cardio equipment set up in like a movie theater. And I thought, that's a perfect place to just run and hide. And hide is just the worst word. And in fact, if you go back, if you read the beginning of the Bible in Genesis, it talks about this Adam and Eve construct, and the first thing the serpent says or Satan says is he says, hide. And I didn't realize how like spiritually powerful hiding can be to taking away your power.
Yes.
And not letting you feel capable enough and not letting you feel good enough. And that was one of the first things that was said is when they realized they ate the fruit and they weren't supposed to be there, it was hide.
Yeah, which is so correlated to shame, right? Which is one of the darkest feelings we can feel.
Heavy. It's a lowest vibrational frequency as well. Like shame, guilt, all of these things are low frequency. And so I was still feeling this heaviness, even though, but I had to just push through it. I had to put the faith larger than the fear of this, like nobody sees me, nobody accepts me here. And so I did go in there, I hid in the cardio cinema and did my 30 minutes. And I was like, I'm out of here. Like, this is the worst thing ever and not coming back. But the frequency to get yourself out of shame and guilt and all of these lower frequencies, that middle line is courage.
Yes.
And courage is what takes you into a higher vibrational frequency. And so the next day,
girl, you're speaking my language. You're speaking my language.
So hard. But the next day, it's like, I have to have the courage to take one small step, another small action to continue to build on that as I climb this what seemed like impossible mountain to climb of losing weight and of feeling myself and gaining energy and getting all this back. And so I kept doing that day after day, day after day. And then the courage turned into habits. And then the habits turned into, I am now starting to identify with, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling fit and healthy. I am fit and healthy.
Yes.
And all positive things started filling my heart and mind. And I just went skyrocketing from there with now going to be in the embodiment of this. And that was just in the physical aspect.
Right.
Once I mastered the physical aspect, then I started chasing, well, emotions and mental and spiritual and how can I transform all of the aspects of my well-being? And there's like 9 aspects of your well-being. There's financial, environmental, social, mental, emotional, physical, which spiritual, I think most people neglect. They either think they have a mental problem or a physical problem. They don't realize that your spirit can feel things too. And spirituality is a huge part of your well-being.
Yeah.
And so I started studying that and I just kind of started going in that direction and hoping too that I could be an example for the kids, that I could be someone that the kids could rely on, and also somebody that I was proud to be and happy with and had more energy to support and sustain them. And I didn't know, but after about 3 years, my family, they had another child and they decided to get married. And at that time, I was dealing with a lot of addiction in my current marriage. And addiction, it was really hard for me. It affects, you don't realize that an addiction affects, I'm not the addict or wasn't the addict.
But you're just as affected, if not, for sure.
It was me. Like I had to deal with addiction just as much as an addict has to deal with addiction.
For
and
sure.
so addiction was a huge part of my life at that time. And unfortunately, my marriage was falling apart and I didn't want to accept that either. I thought I could save everything. Like here I am saving myself. I'm fit and healthy. I can save this too. And so I just started reaching for a lot of different things. And in the end, it came down to them getting married and getting their kids back and me being losing everything, losing my home, losing my marriage, and just going to rock bottom, doing everything I could to just survive at that point. So
were you able to hold on to your health through that? Were you able to kind of persevere on that commitment to your own physical well-being?
I was, but I went to an extreme. So I went on the other side of the pendulum where I started like obsessing over it.
Yes.
So here I was like just trying to get fit and healthy. And then I started going into, I'm obsessed with my looks. I have to looks good in order to feel good.
Right.
And I started doing fitness shows and but it got to the point where mentally I wasn't okay because even though I was shredded and I looked amazing, I was telling myself things like, it's not enough. You're not good enough. You're fat. Just horrible, horrible things. So I went to the other end of the pendulum. So while I looked fit and healthy, I was actually in the deepest state of depression I've ever moment in my life. And so I was dealing with this heavy depression. And during that time, I thought, there's no point in me being here. I've lost everything. Even though I looked the best I've ever looked,
Yeah.
my home, I lost my marriage, I had lost everything. So I felt like there was no point. And by the grace of God, I am still here today.
Yeah.
But it took a lot. So, I mean, I've dealt with the anxiety, the addiction, the depression, the overweight. And I went through all of these things so that I could have empathy and understanding for others going through that. And I see that now more than ever, but it was hard. Like, it was hard. And it's a miracle I just believe that it's a miracle that you're here listening to this. It is a miracle. And every instance in your life is an absolute miracle that you are here and you are continuing to progress and to grow on life's journey.
Isn't it crazy? I mean, it's crazy that it's insane, the path that you've walked at such a young age, with just one thing after another, and you continue to find that courage, Dee. You continue to persevere. You continue to get back up again. I mean, and you already see what a gift all of it was, because not for yourself. It was a gift because of what you can feel for others and how you can serve others. I mean, that's really the greatest miracle of all of it. And there's 100%. There's so much woven into your story, and I know we've really barely scratched the surface of your story, but I think the biggest thing that I want the audience to hear, because it's been one of the, so many people want the success. They want the fit body that you have. They want the successful business that you have. They want the income. They want all of these things. And it's like, well, first of all, you don't get any of those things without without rock bottom after rock bottom after rock bottom, and having to build the type of person that can then have those successes. But one of the things you said, which has been true for my life as well, is that, and this is a Tony Robbins quote, but take action in the moment of, he says, inspiration. Take action in the moment of inspiration. So that's a Tony Robbins thing. You're at his event, you're inspired, you're on fire, and you're taking an action that commits you to the end result, right? Whether you're calling somebody and saying, hey, there's something I need to talk to you about. You finally have the guts to do it because you're so inspired. And so you say, let's, meet at Starbucks 9:00 on Monday. And so you commit yourself to that end goal, where the feeling is going to leave you once you leave the event and you won't have the courage to make that phone call. I always say mine was taking action in the moments of desperation. So often.
That's good too.
And that's what you did in that moment on the side of the road. You didn't think, this is what I'm going to do. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to find a gym. You literally drove straight there. You committed yourself to the action by walking in and signing a contract that made it that much easier for you to find the courage the next morning, right? If we just had to find the courage every single day and find the motivation, we have to set things up in our life where we're committed to the end result in advance, because the motivation's not going to be there every day. The inspiration's not going to be there every day. And so I'm sure you look back, and I want you to answer this, but do you look back at like those kind of chain of events where you're like, oh my gosh, something was working through me. Like, it wasn't me that walked into that gym. It wasn't me that found that courage. And I hear you also talking about things like frequency and neural pathways. And, we both understand how the brain works. My guess is you didn't understand how any of that worked back then.
No clue.
No clue, right?
No idea. You're not aware of what you're not aware of. Like,
Right. And I mean, I even look back on my own sobriety, and it took me 15 years when I started studying neuroplasticity that I was like, that's how sobriety happens. You're like rewiring neural pathways. And so can we dig in a little bit into the frequency of emotions and your knowledge around that and neuroplasticity? Because I think for me and for you, understanding those two worlds, like the science of the brain and how frequency and vibration works, when you really understand those two things, like, you're unstoppable for the rest of your life. You can conquer so much. We just had the great gift of those things happening to us before we knew what the heck was going on.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And I just want to touch too, like, I think there's 4 pillars to every human. And those 4 pillars are we want to serve, we want to grow, we want love and to love, and we want to believe in a higher power, something greater than ourselves. And I really realized that those 4 pillars shape the total human existence of whatever you do. If you can grip to those, you can feel, you can connect, you can serve, you can grow, and then you can believe in something bigger than yourself, which faith is so powerful. And it's so I think faith has been so undermined because of religious or whatever.
Right.
They don't want to associate with that. But you take just the frequency of faith, of believing in something not seen.
Yes.
Fear is the same thing as believing in something not seen, but we're so driven by fear and not by faith. So there's so much power in that. And if you can have faith and make your faith larger than everything with that courage, you're unstoppable.
Dee, we got to stop on that for a second. You just said something so powerful that I don't know if I've ever heard that before, so clearly put, is that so many people are opposed to having faith and believing in something intangible that they can't see. But we're all driven by fear, which is essentially the exact same thing, believing in something that's not there.
Same frequency. Wow. It's just what do you put energy into, you know? And it's so much harder because we're so derived with fear. But if you could put energy into faith, you can conquer anything.
Yeah.
It's just science. Whether it's faith in yourself, faith in a higher power, whatever the faith you put into it, you can take over the world. So I truly believe that. And I think it's been so taken away from us just because of how society has deemed it, or how religion has said, oh, faith, it means God and it means these things. And faith is applied to everything. It does mean those things, but it can be applied to everything, and it can totally transform your world. But everybody focuses so much on the negative and the fear. Anyways, that is what I truly believe. But when you talk about what your thoughts are doing in correlation with your emotions, I truly believe we have a body, mind, and spirit triad, where it's the 3. And so many people neglect the spiritual side of it, and they only focus on the heart or the mind. And you're often in your heart, which is your feelings, or you're in your mind, which is overthinking, criticizing, over analyzing. So you're either operating from one or the other. And it's how do you get all of those to cohesively work together? Because that spirit is inside as well, speaking to those things.
Yeah.
And most of the time it gets suppressed and pushed aside. And if your mind has been overthinking, criticizing, over analyzing for so long, it builds these neural grooves, and they end up being like canyon waves. And that's why they say the older someone gets, the harder it is for them to change, because these neural pathways, they have continued to go down that same thought process and that same story. Yeah. The power of the story you tell yourself is unbelievably unreal.
Yeah.
If you're telling yourself the same story, and probably some of that story could not even be true, but you just told yourself so long that it becomes truth.
Yeah.
And it's, wait a second, you can actually unbox this and rewire that completely and create a totally new story if you can change the way you think. But then that goes with your feelings. Your feelings are the way why you created this story. I feel hurt, so it was because of blah, 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 blah. And those two go hand in hand. But then the spirit will say something different. The spirit says, you are powerful, and take you before all of your stories, take you before you came here, you have a purpose, a direction, and a gift. And if you can cohesively work through those 3, it will blow you out of the water. And what I think, Christ is the biggest example and leader, Jesus Christ, of all times. And I see this because if you take all things out of it, he just knew where to go, how to love, and how to listen to his spirit at all times and all places. So he was working that triad 100% of the time. And that's, if we can just like follow that example, it's really hard for us. A lot of us don't have that understanding, but I think that he was the best leader because he was able to work that triangle 100% of the time. He didn't care. It was, I'm on my time. I'm on my father's time, whatever. He was so invested that he was at the right time in the right place, doing the right thing, thinking, feeling, and operating 100% aligned at all times.
Yes.
And that's why he made such a difference. I think we all have that within us. We all have, and I talk about Christ, Jesus Christ. It's not a first and a last name. Christ is an energy that can be found inside of us, operating those three together, changing, literally can transform and change neural pathways, can change the way you feel, and can change the way you move forward with those three things. If you can follow that example in leadership of, and there's many great leaders that have been able to do things like this, that have been able to overcome the power of the mind and recreate stories and overcome the feelings that they were going through so that they can work through cohesively to make the right decisions at the right time. And what I think my transformative moment was that it was spirit saying, this is what you're feeling, this is what you're thinking, this is what we're doing.
Yes.
And putting those three together so you can move forward in the right direction.
Oh, I have goosebumps like head to toe. We need to get in a room with like hundreds of people in front of us and just teach this together, because this is lighting me up. And I love hearing it from you because, you know, obviously you say it all a little bit differently than I do. And it's just so refreshing. And it's so true, right? It's like we get to co-create with this energy, I believe. And we have, I kind of hate the word control, but we have a lot of control, more than people think we do, over our thoughts, right? Our brain and 100. Our physicality. So like we can wake up every day and make decisions about what we put in our mouth, how we exercise, all of those things. We have the same control over what thoughts our brain is thinking. It's a little bit harder, right, than the physical body. But when you start to manage those two things, the body and the mind, then your emotions, your feeling, your heart center comes into really coherence with the other two. And what you just touched on is sometimes it's just not in the cards, right? Like sometimes we are at rock bottom, we are trying, we are putting the effort in, we are broken, we are in the valley. And that's where something bigger than us performs that miracle and brings things into alignment. That we can't as human beings do it all the time. And that's what I believe grace is, right? That's when those magical moments of just, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how this all worked, but something bigger shifted something in me and I needed that miracle moment. And now I get to co-create from this moment forward with that energy. And like you said, like, I mean, I'm getting tears in my eyes talking about it. It's like, you can be unstoppable once you have that.
100%. Yeah. And I think that's Christ's energy. Like that's grace. That's that. So this man went through the depths to be able to give that to you. And it's a gift. Yes. And I think so many people misinterpret that this is an energy, this is a frequency, this is a gift from above that has been given to you to help you overcome those hard moments. And we as humans are the definition of anti-fragile, meaning the more you break us down, the stronger we get and we build ourselves back. And we're literally the definition of anti-fragile.
I love that.
The more you break us down, the stronger we get. And especially if you have faith, especially if you have some of these positive, higher vibrational frequencies, if you have acceptance, love, forgiveness, enlightenment, if you have any of that on your side, with that, you're going to go like to the roof, through the roof. Be stopped if you have that belief and you have those higher frequencies and you have courage to get you outside of that. Now, I don't discredit having all of those lower frequencies. You have to have both. You have to have opposition, because if you didn't know the sadness, you would never know the joy.
Absolutely.
And so it's so important. And I think of when you were talk to me about the emotions and the neuro, I think of that movie Inside Out.
Yes.
And Inside Out 2. And it is just so well done, because when I work with people in my cranials, I have them go to a board meeting with all the different versions of themselves. But then I have them take that highest self, and that highest self gets final say, gets to operate out of love, gets to operate out of acceptance, gets to operate out of forgiveness, and kind of mitigate this whole board meeting. And when you think of this Inside Out movie, that's exactly what joy does. And it's so, but she learns to love sadness and she learns to love anxiety, because without these, you wouldn't be able to all work together cohesively. within your heart, mind, and body. So it's such a powerful tool, but it's understanding it, and you
Yep.
don't know what you don't know. And this just excites me and lights me up because you share the same similar belief and understanding of it, and of just how we can work to elevate ourselves and elevate others, and have strength in something that's greater than us.
Oh, goodness gracious. This is so good. This conversation, like you said, it just lights me up as well. I mean, this is Dee, your story, your journey, what you are doing in the world. I mean, it's such a gift. And I just commend you, even though I know like it was bigger than you, but to continue to get up, to continue to persevere, to continue to push through, to make that courageous choice to be built stronger in all of those broken moments is massive. It's massive. And here you are doing this amazing work in the world, getting to be this bright light. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for you just in this world. I'm so grateful for these last, goodness, 45, 50 minutes. And I thank you so much for being here and sharing today.
Thank you. It's been such an honor talking, and what you see in me, I see in you. I'm so inspired by you. You're such a light. The way you hold yourself, the way you show up for others, it's just been an absolute inspiration. And I feel that soul sister connection. I just absolutely love it, love and adore you, and love everything that you've done and been able to accomplish and inspire other women too. You're such a powerful speaker, such a powerful example, mother, all the things. So it's just a mere reflection.
Yeah.
And I think it's so beautiful. And I love when you come in contact with people that are like-minded, that have that same light. And if you're listening and that inspired you, we want to know you. I want to know you. If any of this resonated deeply in your soul and you got chills, reach out and don't be shy. I really would love to connect with anyone who was inspired by the same thing. We need more light. We need more people willing to understand this. We need more people willing to speak this. We need more just fighting the good fight. So I honor and commend you too. You're amazing. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for that, for your sweet, kind words. And I agree. It's like we need more people in this conversation, right? Like one of my favorite quotes from Robin Sharma is we become our conversations. We become our conversations. And so we need more women to be in this conversation, to have this conversation, to reach out to Dee in the DMs, to reach out to me, to say, you know, I hear this and I'm talking about it and I'm spreading this good word. And so don't hesitate to reach out to us. I'm in my DMs all the time. It's not an assistant. Dee's, you know, chit-chatting in hers. So share this episode, you guys, with a friend. Share this on your social. Tag us. We would love to hear back from you. And Dee, thank you again so much from the bottom of my heart for being here and your presence and your story and just your life's journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. We will see you next week, you guys. Thanks for tuning in.